Doctor, in your presentation this morning, you showed that there's a possible and maybe a very good association with both the cloud computer and the robots. Mm-hmm. How is that going to translate into the car?
Well, if you think about it, the car can be viewed as a mobile platform, and it's much in the same way that our old telephones used to only make phone calls, but now our smartphones have all of this network connectivity. They're programmable, they play music, they take pictures, we can read email, get work done, we can ask it questions. It can be our personal assistant, manage our calendar. In many ways, a car is like the next generation of mobile platforms that will be powered by programmability, apps, connectivity, and intelligence. And to me, it's the evolution, natural evolution of automotive being not just limited to the hardware and the embedded software, but really the higher level intelligence and much more sophisticated software that's now running on top of this hardware platform. So much the same way that personal computers and smartphones have evolved into these industries where you have parallel cycles of both hardware development and software development, the same thing is happening in the automotive space, where you have hardware platforms being developed, and then you have a lot of software and investment in the intelligence and connected cars that will expand the capability and the value and the utility of these vehicles. So it will no longer be just something you can get from point A to point B in, but something that will help you be more productive.
Now, in your career, you've taken one step beyond the average person. You've seen the possibilities that most of us couldn't even imagine. There are people out there who say, "I'm afraid of that." Yes. What do you tell these people?
Well, you know, in many ways, I think technology evolution will be a natural extension of how the economy evolves and how society changes. And you know, 100 years ago, there were probably a lot of people who say, you know what, I'm just fine riding a horse, and I don't care about these fancy automobiles, and that's fine. Everybody has the choice of doing that. But some people have said, well, maybe the skill of driving in 100 years from now will be much like the skill of riding a horse. It used to be necessary to have the skill to ride a horse in order to get around. But nowadays you do it for fun, you do it as a hobby, and it's not required. The same way, we might be in a situation where if you want to get around, you don't actually have to have the skill to drive. And in fact, we're seeing now many young people delay getting a license. They don't actually have the skill to drive, but they're okay because they're really, you know, it's not required anymore because the technology has enabled it. So, of course, there's some people who say, you know, I love driving, and in fact, it is such a thrilling thing. The human body, over millions of years of evolution, has not evolved to run, you know, 60 miles an hour. But it is an exhilarating thing to be able to have this machine that will enable you to move that fast. And it is fun to drive. And in fact, that's a strong value of Akio Toyoda, our president. He really loves the fact that you know, driving should be fun, and people who love driving should be able to do it. And I don't think that this technology is going to displace that. You're still going to be able to enjoy driving. But if you don't want to, or you don't have any desire to, you won't be required to. So just like riding a horse becomes not a requirement for getting around, it just becomes a hobby and something you do for pleasure. It could be that in the future that's the way driving skill evolves, is that it's not required to get around, but if you like it and you enjoy it, you can do it.
One more quick thing, and that is safety was a very key factor in your presentation today, too. Yeah. I assume that is a major focus of what you're doing, too.
Absolutely. So the main driver we realize is that with all of this technology, it is a shame that, you know, despite all of the efforts, tens of thousands of people are dying here in the U.S. alone. We can do better than that, and I know we can do better than that, and we've proven that we can do better than that with seat belts and airbags and advanced collision warning systems. Toyota's very proud that by 2017, almost all cars and all trim levels will have built-in forward collision warning and emergency assisted braking 5 years ahead of when the government will require it. So we are really trying to be proactive in increasing safety and around the world, and we think that you know, this technology is really a key to that.